Hi, I'm Rashonda. I'm the creator of this YouTube channel, as well as the artbyro.com website, where you can find over 250 art and drawing tutorials. So be sure to check that out after you watch the video. Again, that is artbyro.com. Today's tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to draw a really fun, easy, waving flag optical art illusion. This is simple. It's not as hard as it looks, so if you're a beginner, don't feel discouraged. You'll be able to do it too. So let's go ahead and go on over to the studio and get started on that. Okay, let's get started drawing this optical art flag. This is an American flag today. So we want to start by making some lines that are going to be where the ripple effect is created. So I'm going to start by angling my line where it's a little bit narrower at the top and wider at the bottom. And then I'm using this cardboard as my straight edge. So let's get this lined up. And then using a black pen, go ahead and make that line. And now for this next one, do it the opposite, so it's narrower at this end and wider at that end. And then do the opposite from that, so wider here, narrower there. And then again, narrower at the top and wider at the bottom. And I'm not trying to make these even. They're kind of somewhat random, but I do pay attention to how far apart they are. I don't want anything that's too big or too narrow. Try to balance it out a little bit so it's not, we don't want it all scrunched up. We don't want a ton of little lines in here. That's going to make things kind of difficult. But you don't have to worry about, I'm not trying to make anything even. Like, you know, these spaces aren't even. These are similar. These are similar, but not exactly the same. So don't worry about them being any measurable distance apart per se. So the next thing we want to do is make where the stars are going to be. This is an American flag, so up here we're going to have our blue with the stars, and then the rest will be the stripes. So we're going to pick a spot somewhere around in this area to make a curved line, and this is going to be where our stars are going to be. And then we're going to come down a little bit, make another curved line. These are going to be stripes. Now these don't have to be perfectly even, but you'll probably want them to be fairly close because the stripes are uniform. So now we can turn it this way, or if you're more comfortable making your lines, it's more comfortable for me to make them curved up, but you could do it this way. So the next step would be to go from this side to that side, connect these lines, and have it curve in the opposite direction. And then we're also going to have to put a line up here because this will be the stars, and then we have the stripes coming off to the side. So the next step is going to be to curve back in this opposite direction again. And then go this way. Now, if you don't feel comfortable doing this with a pen, you could always start with the pencil and then fill it in with pen later and just go over top your pencil lines. If using a pen feels kind of intimidating to you, that's okay. That's a normal thing. You could do pencil first and then go back over it with pen. That would work too. So for the stars, I like to just go ahead and do just like we did as kids when we learned how to make a star, with all the extra lines in it. And there's no set number of stars we're putting in here because obviously you can't fit them all in there. But you can go ahead, draw your stars out with a pencil, however you like to make your stars. And then we do need to finish up the stars with pen for this drawing. And then we'll just go ahead and erase those pencil lines. And I'm not being super particular about my stars. We're not making an illustration of a flag. We're doing an optical art flag, so we don't need things to be perfect. And then you can take your eraser. Let's see if I can find mine. And we'll just go ahead and erase that pencil line. And then we're ready to go. So the next thing we need to do is get some red and blue for the blue for the area around the stars and the red for the stripes. Lost my words for a minute there. We need red for the stripes and blue for the flag. So I'm going to grab me a couple markers and I will be right back with you. I grabbed a couple of markers. For this drawing, I'm just going to use these Bic markers. You can get these pretty much anywhere. I think I bought these at my local grocery store. So I just have a red and a blue. So nothing special, nothing you have to have any high-priced art supplies or anything like that. We're just going to use just some plain old Bic markers. So I'm going to go around the edges first and sort of frame this in a little bit. And then I'm carefully going to go around the stars and I will fill this in blue. And this is just going to be just one solid flat area of this blue. We're not doing any other blue in here. We'll add some shading with a colored pencil later to help give that waving optical illusion effect. So this whole area is just going to be filled in all the way with this blue, except for where the stars are at, of course. If you've watched some of my other videos, you know that I typically like to use a couple different of each color. So normally if I'm working in an area that's blue, I'll have 2 or 3 different blue markers, but not today. The only supplies you need are your black pen, a blue marker, a red marker, and a black colored pencil. And even where the black colored pencil gets used, you could, if you had to, you could just use a pencil for the shading. That would work too. So now we're going to go ahead and fill in the red area. So I have my red, And we're going to fill in where the stripes are at with this red marker. Again, we're filling it in completely solid. So we'll fill this in, and then we're going to skip. And we're going to fill this one in. So we're going to do a pattern of every other one. And then when we get over here to this next row, we're going to do the opposite one. So we'll fill this one in. And then we'll do this one. The bad thing about these Bic markers is they have a little bit bulkier tip on them, which makes it a little bit hard to get into smaller areas. So sometimes it bleeds outside the line a little bit. If you have a colorless blender, you can use those as sort of like an eraser, and it'll lighten that up a little bit. It won't remove it altogether, but it will lighten it up. But these Bic markers do tend to bleed a little bit, which can be frustrating. But if you have, this is just a colorless blender, if you sort of scrub that area right there, it'll lighten it up. And as it dries, it fades out a little bit, not entirely, but it will lighten it up a little bit. But some of that will get covered up with the colored pencil when we do our shading at the end. So don't worry too much, and for most of us, we don't need our work to be perfect anyway. If you're not selling your artwork to somebody or doing a commission piece, then there's really no need to get hung up on things being perfect, and especially if you're just trying to make do with what you have. And by that I mean if maybe you don't have a ton of markers, but you want to start experimenting with using them, so you might not have the perfect markers for the job, so it's probably not going to be exactly what you want it to be. So now we'll do this one. You want to continue this pattern of every other one, and then flipping and doing the opposite. So up here, we're going to do this one, we'll do every other one, and then we'll skip again, do the opposite ones for that. And I'm going to go ahead and speed this up, and I will be back with you when this is done. Now that everything's colored in with the marker, the final step is to add some shading that is going to help with this 3D effect with the optical illusion. I'm just using a black colored pencil. I have it nice and sharp. And then what I want to do is kind of feather in some black lines here and curve them a little bit to follow the contour of these other lines. So for this side, it's going to go that way, and then I will flip it around, and on this side they're going to go that other direction. And then on this other side, we're going to do the same thing, and then leave some white area right in the middle. And then we're going to do that all the way up, all the way down, both sides of this. We're going to do it over this blue, which is a little harder to see, and also the red. And then do the other side, and we're going to do that all the way through. And you just want to angle your card in a way that makes it easier, because you want to flick your wrist a little bit to get that feathered line. And then we'll just do that all the way up and all the way down all of these, each section. And then I will be back when I have that done. I'm going to go ahead and speed this up, and I'll be back when it's finished to show you the end result. So that is it. This drawing is finished. This was done on an artist trading card, and it is done. That's it for this waving flag optical illusion. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. Happy creating! Well, that's it for today's tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it, and hopefully you felt inspired to do some of your own artwork. If you did enjoy the video, please hit that like button, and also subscribe if you want to get notified of future videos. And before you leave, take a look in the description box. There's a freebie in there for you on making your own artist trading cards. And I will see you in the next video. Bye!